Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast midweek edition for your asses. This is Mr. BDA with you. King Butcher should be joining me shortly, my co-host, my trusty co-host. I think he's on his way home or doing something else. I don't know. I think he's working on a couple of things. Guys, thank you for joining us. You know, every time I come here and I do a midweek podcast, I'm thinking, man, what am I going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? Boxing never disappoints, man. I'll tell you that much right now. Hope you're all doing well out there in that crazy world. It's about to get crazier in here, but at least we are safe, not on the streets. And that's all I'll say about that. Let's talk a little boxing then. Alright, so why am I saying that boxing never fails to disappoint? Well, I'll tell you what, guys. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat room. Kachnello giving my fight, Realistic Boxing, Del Boys Boxing News, Michael Stott, King Bucho, I see he's in there, Realistic Boxing, Greg, Mario G. Glad to have you guys on board. There is something, boxing never disappoints, man. Never disappoints. What's going on here? Adonis Stevenson, one of the most anticipated fights for me that I'm looking forward to. All of a sudden, it's full of this. First of all, the saga all started in January. Okay, Badou Jack, Adonis Stevenson was announced by the BBC for the month of May. I don't remember if they set a date, but they said it was going to happen. This was after, by the way, there was this whole thing about whether Eleider Alvarez was going to take on Stevenson. Apparently the fight was done. Then it turns out it wasn't. Alvarez wasn't going to fight him. Then it turned into Badou Jack versus Stevenson. Then a couple of weeks ago, Alvarez comes out and says, his manager comes out and says, actually, we're not still sure if we're going to let that fight happen, meaning Stevenson Jack. In other words, they were giving the impression that Alvarez still wanted the fight. Well, finally, they were able to settle it. Ironed all the details out. Fight was supposed to take place in Montreal. All of a sudden, another curveball. Fight's not going to take place in Montreal. It's going to be taking place in Toronto. Makes a little sense if you ask me, since Adonis Stevenson is from Montreal or around that area. And it makes sense for him to fight in Montreal. So 3 weeks before the fight, no press conference. The fight still wasn't official and the venue has just been changed. Now, in my opinion, venues get changed at the last minute because of cataclysms, extraordinary circumstances, terrorist attacks. Maybe sometimes they were still negotiating with the owner of the arena or the location. Maybe the owner, they had problems with them and they had to change at the last minute, whatever. The point remains that fight is getting changed to Toronto. Stevenson's fought in Toronto, by the way, before, but I don't understand why. And by the way, in Toronto just experienced a terrorist attack. Some madman drove into a crowd of people using a truck. Now, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but trucks nowadays, they seem to be the terrorist tool du jour for crazy people out there. So they just moved it to Toronto. Toronto's experiencing its own hardships. Something's going on here. But you know what? At the end of the day, I just want a good fight. Like I said in another video, I am a boxing junkie. I am an addict. I said that the other day. I went to an AA meeting and I said, my name is Mr. BDA and I'm a boxing addict. And they laughed at me, told me to get the fuck out. They even took away the cup of free coffee and donuts they had away from me. Fucking bastard. Bunch of addicts, weak ass-minded motherfuckers. Anyway, the point is, whatever's going on with Adonis Stevenson, Badou Jack, whether Alvarez wanted the fight, whether he didn't want it, whether they changed the venue at the last minute, whether Adonis Stevenson goes into the ring with no underpants on, I don't care. As long as they get in the ring and give us a good show, that's all I care about. People in the chat room say, I just heard, says Brandon White, that the WBC ordered Ortiz versus White. It's a good fight. You know, Ortiz was considered the boogeyman. Dylan White is starting to become a little bit of the boogeyman. Everybody says that if you want a world championship, you have to get through him. Greg says Ortiz throws White out of the damn ring. Kiwi Box, shout out to Kiwi, says 9 a.m. Wednesday here. Good for you, man. Good for you. I'm pretty sure it's hot over there in New Zealand Or at least I hope it is. Or maybe I'm confusing the weather you guys got over there with Australia. But it's all the same thing to me. I'm sorry. Kyle says, a truck of... Oh, yes. It's not a truck of malice, by the way. I'll tell you that much. Foul Pole Boxing says, why did your last stream get deleted? I don't know. If it happens again, I'm asking YouTube, that's for sure. But we're taking emergency measures in case that happens again. In case that happens, we'll just re-upload the motherfucker. Hell, I'm recording right now. In case another stream gets taken down. And by the way, if YouTube, people are saying, oh, well, you know, YouTube's taking them down. It's not that I don't think they're taking them down because of the content. Because again, what are we saying here that's wrong or that's family, you know, politically incorrect or anything? It's what happens is we're uploading these videos and they get corrupted somehow. They don't fully upload or fully process, I should say, and all of a sudden they disappear. So there's something's being corrupted. I don't know what it is, but don't worry. Like I said, preventive measures are being taken from the BDA IT team. Kiwi Box says, Ortiz versus White is a good fight, but how can the WBC justify giving Ortiz a final eliminator? Coming off a title shot loss, he should need a win first. I agree. Hence why I don't follow. This fucking, you know, alphabet titles. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me? Alphabet titles, alphabet organizations. Need I remind you, people? Need I remind you that they had a dead guy ranked a couple of years ago, or maybe it was more than a couple of years ago, but the point remains. Diamond champions, super champions, interim champions, silver belts, chrome belts, plastic belts. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't even understand why people... If you're a boxer, fine. You need those titles for marketing purposes. But if you're a boxing fan... It's like when Terence Crawford beat Dong, when people are like, oh, he unified all the titles. Who did he beat? He beat a bunch of guys who got those belts. Those little belts are like McDonald's toys. Anybody can get them. I'm getting fucking tired of this shit. And you know what? Forget... Yes, it's true. It's wrong if they're putting Dylan White in there against Ortiz, since Ortiz hasn't really fought anybody. But it's a pretty gosh darn good fight, if you ask me. Regardless of whether Ortiz is a number 2 guy, number 3, number 4, whatever.
How dare you talk to me like that?
That's right. Don't talk to me that way. By the way, I'm using the soundboard here. I'm looking. There used to be some sounds. They disappeared. Kind of like the videos we had. I don't know. But anyway, guys, let's see what else people are saying. WBC had Hearn's finger up their bottom, says Greg. Fight will be in the UK on Matchroom card, and White will get a miraculous 40-second stoppage. Maybe. You know, I can see, call me crazy, but I can see Ortiz sort of, I can see him starting losing all of his fights from now on. Sort of like maybe the fire got taken away from him and he's going to end up losing, getting stopped, and all of a sudden people are going to go, oh, well, turns out Deontay Wilder wasn't as good as people thought because that's his best win. It turns out it was against a bum. That's the thing about everybody's a bum nowadays. You know, when people say this guy's a bum, that guy's a bum, then who's really good if you ask the question, really? You know, I did a video about Daniel Jacobs' good defense against Arias, and people shed on you. I don't think people really recognize what good defense is, or what quality looks like in the ring. Everybody's a bum. The only guys that aren't bums, it would seem, are people who have hardcore fan bases. Triple G, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Everybody else is a bum. I disagree. I am not happy with the way things are going. Alright? I think people are a little too harsh on the boxers.
The little fag gets it.
Now, hold on a second. But you know, you gotta really look at boxing to get it, is what I'm trying to get at here, people. King Butcher is saying, send me the link, you cokehead. I did send you the link. What's the matter with you? I hope King Butcher joins me, otherwise it's just gonna be me talking. Or whoever else jumps into the conversation. Brandon White says, glad Thurman. Oh, Winter Design says, I complimented you for that video, BDA. Yes, you did, Winter. Thank you very much for that. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But what I'm saying is and I'm not, you know, if you want to disagree that Daniel Jacobs has good defense, that's fine. At least, you know, at least tell me why you think that, not just, you know, oh, fucking this guy sucks, that guy sucks. Who is the A side out of BDA or Pucho? Asked Greg. It's a good question. And I would say that we're equal A sides. It's sort of like when you have Salvador Sanchez and Sugar Ray Leonard winning Fighter of the Year in 1980. What was it, 81? Yes, I think it was 81. So yes, the big news also, I talked about Stevenson versus Jack. The big news also is that apparently Keith Thurman has vacated his WBC title. He vacated that WBC title. I mean, really, I just said I don't pay attention to titles. So if he vacated it, good for him, bad for him, I don't give a fuck. I just want to see Keith Thurman back in the ring. I want to see that ponytailed motherfucker go in there and try to knock some people out. But he's injured. Alright, fine, I get that. I'm not laughing at the fact that he's injured. I'm just laughing at this whole... It's gonna come out now. Keith Thurman... And by the way, I hate talking about people and when they say this guy disagrees or this guy's avoiding that guy, this guy's scared of that guy. But when it comes to Keith Thurman, I'm starting to think that he might... Maybe he's not scared, but I don't think his heart is into boxing all that much anymore. I don't think it's 100% there. I think what he's trying to do is take his time. I do understand he got married, so maybe that wife of his has him... or is hitting him with the, you know, with the broomstick or something. You're not gonna box anymore, or I don't know. Maybe he's enjoying his married life right now and doesn't want to jump right back into boxing, especially since he's injured. But man, I tell you something, Keith Thurman, I always enjoy watching him fight. Never disappointed me. I was never bored. I never went out of a fight, of a Keith Thurman fight, going, oh, that sucked. Even the Luis Collazo fight, where Collazo quit because of a cut, I was still, you know, I still like that fight. Thurman got hurt. He hurt Collazo in return. Very explosive fight, so I was happy with that one. Boxing Style, shout out to Boxing Style, says, no shit, he vacated it. We Degree and Michael Stott are getting into a bit of an altercation. I don't know if it's all fun. Boxing Style says, Keith Thurman is not Mexican enough for the WBC. Listen, the WBC... the only color they care about, and you know where I'm going with this, is the same color of their belt, green. You bring that green, they will protect you. They will take care of you. They'll change your diaper, powder your button, kiss you in the forehead, and tell you everything's gonna be alright. That's what the WBC does. And people love to get into the type of debate of, well, which one's worse? The WBC, the WBA, the IBF, the WBO, the IBO. I don't know. By the way, I'm looking at this picture from Boxing Scene. You got Keith Thurman there. He looks like, you know, you put a white robe on him. He looks like a leader of a cult. He looks like the type of guy, you go into that cult, next thing you know, your wife disappears, and you just hear her moaning. Moans coming out of his room. And by the way, Jesus Christ, the one and only, the Messiah, the Alpha and the Omega, I think, you know, people in the movies, they put him as white. I think we all know Jesus wasn't 100% white. It seemed they say that he was Semitic, right? So he probably looked a little bit like Keith Thurman. Now, I'm not saying Keith Thurman is Jesus, but if Jesus were a fist fighter, a boxer, I think he would fight a lot like Keith Thurman. There you go. Boxing Style says he looks like this, Jesus. Keith, once upon a time Thurman. People love playing with that nickname of his. Queef Runtime Thurman says, Del Boy. Queef. What does that mean, queef? Maybe I'm not to date with the slang that's going around these days, being an old chunk of coal myself, but what does that mean, queef? Isn't that like a marijuana thing? Foul Pole Boxing says Jesus would fight more often. Jesus and Keith Thurman are very similar. They both had very short but explosive careers, and I think people are going to remember them for a long time to come. That's what I think. Could be wrong. You guys tell me. But now, what I'm interested in is your comments. Because let me put up a couple of the comments that go on here. It's true, it's about damn time, says somebody in Boxing Scene. About time. Hopefully Cherry Garcia doesn't run from Porter. Okay, that's the other thing. Apparently Danny Garcia is going to be fighting, or he's supposed to fight Sean Porter. I don't know about you guys. That's a good fight. Seems like a good fight for me. Sean Porter is a guy that likes to come forward, and Danny Garcia loves it when guys come forward against him. Why not? Why not make that fight? But here's another thing. After Broner, in my opinion, walked through Jesse Vargas, and I thought he should have gotten the decision, I was pretty impressed with Broner. But then again, I've been impressed with him. I mean, I haven't, not impressed. The word I'm trying to look for is he is very respectable. People don't give him enough respect. So I was rewatching the Sean Porter fight, and Adrian Broner made it ugly. A lot of clinching, a lot of moving, dipping below the waist, just trying to get Sean Porter to run into him. But then again, that's Sean Porter's fault for not being able to control the distance properly. But I was thinking, man, you look at how Sean Porter brutalized Andre Berto, poor Andre Berto, and you compare that to how Broner fought Sean Porter. Pretty competitive, you ask me. He still managed to drop Porter in the last round. So Broner can hang in there with everybody. Now, why am I talking about this? Because Sean Porter, pretty good job of mauling Adrian Broner. But here's the thing about Sean Porter. For a guy that leaps in like a madman, he's not all that entertaining if you think about it. I mean, you look at there's exceptions, Malignaggi, Keith Thurman, but that was mostly because against Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman loves to stand his ground and counter, or when he counters, I should say. He stands his ground, he counters, and he tries to knock you out with those counters. So that's why it was a very, very, very interesting fight. But then you look at the Kell Brook fight. Kind of a boring fight, not all that action-packed. Why? Some people say, you know, Brook also was clinching a lot, but Brook also overshoots the distance a lot. Then you have the Granados fight. Oof, ugly fight. Broner, again, ugly fight. Now, was it all Broner's fault? I don't know. I don't know. But Porter isn't that exciting. But I think the Garcia fight will be quite entertaining. So I hope they make that fight. Now, let's go again. Back to Thurman. These are the comments in Boxing Scene. And I don't know how many of you people out there post on Boxing Scene. But it's not entirely the paragon or the paramount of good comments. I can't stay in Boxing Scene for more than 5-10 minutes before my head starts hurting, because there's a lot of people. So statistically, there's going to be a lot of people that, like Roger Mayweather said, don't know shit about boxing. So, but let's see what people say. Sounds fair. He's been way too inactive. Great news, says Baltimore. Whole division can't wait for Keith. That's true. Sucks for him if his injuries really are holding him back, but he is in the mandatory position, which is how it should be. He should be given a chance to win the belt back when he's ready. I'm more interested in Danny Porter fight than either of the rematches anyway, and that isn't even factoring the belt. Hope this fight happens next. Low Place is asking me to come in. Low Place, come on, man. You know I can't do that, man. Listen, I want to have you, and I'm working on this behind the scenes. I'm working on this with Bucho about getting you back for a special BD Stevenson Jack. But man, you gotta take it easy, man. You're in the chat room, writing in all caps. You were quite mean to what's his name? Well, the guy, the boss, Jimmy's Corner, when he was in telling us stories about Mickey Ward. You got a little out of hand. A little disrespectful. So I don't know how you're going to be acting if you come back in here, man. I want to have you back in here. And Bucho, I know you had your troubles with Bucho, but you got to understand, man. Like Rothstein, what was the name of the guy from The Godfather? Roth. It was just business. I didn't ask who gave the order because he had nothing to do with business. There's $4 million in that briefcase. If you leave it there, I know you want to do business. Godfather 1 or 2, I don't know which one is better. All I know is Godfather 3 is an underrated movie. Come on, any movie that gives you that great tagline or that great quote, just as I think I'm out, they pull me back in. I fucked up the quote, I'm sorry. The Fight Scout said, bro, Pavel says, I was watching your older videos and LOL at your comparison between Andre Ward and a guy with blackface. What? First of all, Andre Ward is half Irish, half black. So these little jokes here, they don't work, all right? And by the way, yeah, low place, if you want to debate somebody, Michael Stott is looking to get started with his channel. He wants to debate people. So go ahead and hit him up, man. Hit up Michael. He'll let you talk about whatever you want, just like we did here in this show. But that's interesting. I mean, you know, low place just reminded me about Jack versus Stevenson. I tell you, it's very weird. I still contend that Alvarez, again, we don't have any inside information, any of us. All we have is what comes through the media, to the pipeline, and we try to piece together everything and try to make sense of it by using logic and intuition. But we don't know exactly what's going on. And it is my opinion, my assumption, that I don't know if Alvarez really was avoiding Stevenson. I think he got told to step aside and to keep his mouth shut. And by the way, guys, Pavel says Ward is a typical mutt. Typical mutt. I mean, Andrew Ward, I don't like him personally, but when people say he sucks as a fighter, and we've had this discussion before, when people say, well, he was a dirty fighter. Okay, but if it's so easy to get to the level Ward did by just being dirty, everyone would be doing it. I don't understand that argument. But anyway, We Degree says, where's Bucho at? Bucho he should be joining us shortly. I think he's just getting home. Or he told me he was going to be working on some shit. I don't know. Bucho, hit me up on instant messages over at Google Hangouts and let me know what's going on. And if you could, Bucho, if you're listening, send some invites to our regular readers or our regular panelists. Let's get this shit started. Now, let me tell you something else. Errol Spence versus Broner, that's the fight I want to see. I know people think Broner sucks, even though you just saw him getting up in Vargas's ass. That's right. I think he won that fight. I think he looked pretty strong. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside a little bit. He's strong. Put him in there against Errol Spence. If Errol Spence is too strong for him, fine, he's too strong. But I want to see that fight. Because here's the problem. Thurman, who knows when he's going to come back. He's not going to get in the ring with Spence right away. So after Spence, should he take care of business against, well, who is it, Ocampo? Then why not put him in there against Broner? Or, put him in there against Broner or Porter. All right? Put him in there against one of those guys. But please, 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 I'm supplicating here. Do not put him in there against another guy. You know, don't put him in. I don't want to see a rematch against Kell Brook. Even if it's at 154. No thanks. I want to see him fight somebody fresh. Broner versus Spence at 144. Ask Nicola Ferrari. That's right. AB, another bum, says Pireiras. Oh, that one's pretty good. I'll accept that one. Jaziel Zaragoza says Andrew Ward made it to the top by being dirty. Could he have done it without? We will never know. I don't know about that. Don't know about that. Figueroa knocks out Adrian Broner. That would have been an interesting fight to see. By the way, I just noticed we have the one and only Stu on the line.
I wasn't bad though.
I told you what's going to happen to Price. I told you he's going to be sleeping. I told you the ambulance is going to come. The oxygen mask is going to come out. I told you he's going to miss the main event. I told you all them things were going to happen.
That's right. The one, the only Stu. Stu, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Butcho.
Can
you get back to me, bro? I'm going to have to come back on and off.
All right, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And by the way, this is BDA. It's not Bucho. Don't ever call me Bucho again, or you're gonna get it. All right. But anyway, let's go back to the chat room. People are saying, what are people saying? Broner versus Khan. You guys tell me who. I want to hear about that. Khan versus Broner. Who would win that one? Because Broner can be outboxed. He was getting outboxed a little bit by Amir Khan, not Amir Khan, Paulie Malignaggi. So I wonder how a quick-fisted guy like Khan would do, and who's a mover as well, and he was a better quality fighter than Malignaggi. Brandon White says Broner doesn't want to cry again after getting knocked out by Spence. Again, that's the rumor going around there, that supposedly Spence knocked out Broner. or at least dropped him and gave him the business during sparring. I don't know. But based on how they both look, based on the fact that Broner is more of an inside fighter than outside, and that we know that Spence is bread and butter, let's make it happen. Make it fucking happen. Khan versus Broner is very interesting, says Giselle. Del Boy says Spence might be fighting Ugas instead of Ocampo. Now, why would that happen? I don't understand. That's insane. Ugas. And by the way, Ugas fought. I gotta check my fucking box rig here. Yordanis Ugas, right? That's his name. I wanna check because I always forget who he fought. I know I saw him fight Ray Robinson and Thomas Dulorme. Okay, Dulorme is a good win. He was giving Terence Crawford a bit of a challenge in there. But I don't know. Ugas against... I don't know. You guys tell me. Because Ocampo at least has a flashy record. And he's hard-hitting. So, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I see we have... Oh, Bucho's on the line.
The king is here.
You can have Kenny Bayless as a referee in every single fight. So you're all happy.
The king is here.
That's right. The king is here. My co-host, King Bucho. King, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
All right, Bucho, I don't know if you heard that now Stevenson Jack is taking place in Toronto.
Yeah, I wonder why he's fighting in Toronto, not Montreal. Because, you know, he's from Montreal, so it doesn't make sense at all.
Exactly. The logic is put it in Montreal. That's where he does either Montreal or Quebec City, right? But Toronto, I mean...
Nobody cares about Stevenson, man. I mean, why is he fighting in Toronto?
I don't know. You tell me.
No, I don't know.
All right, there's some background noise coming.
Oh, you hear background? Oh,
yeah.
There's people.
All right, why don't you lock yourself in your bathroom or something and talk from there?
I'm barbecuing now.
He's who barbecues on a Tuesday evening?
It's 20 degrees finally, man. Fucking gotta take advantage of it.
That's one of the things about living in Canada, people. If it's 20 degrees, people are out, people are in shorts. They're laying on that wet brown what's it called, spring grass here in Canada that smells like shit because of all the fertilizer that's still in there coming out. Ugh. But people, listen, people squeeze every ounce of summer or favorable weather that they can get from Canada. Michael Stott says 20 degrees. LOL, it's never 20 degrees in LA. Yeah, you keep bragging about living in LA. You'll see what happens when California runs out of water. And when we're here covered in snow, actually covered in an ocean because of global warming, guess who's going to be laughing then?
Jesus Christ, great.
That's going to be me in my underpants laughing at you people in California. Nicola Ferrari says, fuck summer, I can't wait for September again, I love winter. You know what, Nicola? You and I might be the only people that think alike when it comes to September and later on winter. I like September, I like winter. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, I like it when the weather starts changing and it gets warm and everything, but after a while you start getting sick of all the people walking around, sitting, drinking beer and wine and eating cheese and crackers, talking about the economy. The economy, come on. Winter, that's where it's at, baby. Gives you character, makes you strong, makes you ready to face the world. The Shepherd of Sun says, don't make that joke, the Caribbean is sinking too. Well, then get out of the Caribbean. What do you want me? Wait, what do you want from me? Aaron Kuka says, when the snow finally melts, I'll barbecue 3 times a day. There you go, that's a spirit. Oh yeah, and Michael Scott says, what the hell, it's Celsius. Yeah, we're not talking... You guys, here in Canada, we have another different system. We had 2 days last week. Anyway, look, listen, I don't want to get back into the weather. This isn't the weather channel. It used to be, or it might become that one day. But going back to... Butch, are you back? Or are you still outside? All right. What was I going to say about Stevenson? Yeah, it's happening in Toronto. Stevenson fought in Toronto when he fought Carpensi. From what I remember, I don't know, I'd have to recheck, but I don't think the crowd was all that. Some people say that Toronto is a good sports city, You got to remember, they did very good numbers when they fought in Blue Jay Stadium when they had George St. Pierre against Jake Shields back in 2011, I believe. But Stevenson, even in Canada, even in Montreal, people know who he is. You talk to cab drivers and boxing fans, they know who he is. But he's not... Now, outside of Quebec, he's not mainstream. So if he's fighting in Toronto, I don't know how well he would do there. But going back to Spence Broner, does he ice Broner? Maybe. But I want to see that fight. Rather see that than Spence taking on, the Cuban guy, Ugas, or Ocampo, or Ray Robinson, or whoever else is out there. Now, let's run a little bit of a survey here. All right, a little bit of a survey. So make it too long, but let's do it. I'm gonna put up the welterweight rankings. That's right, the welterweight rankings. You know, I love to look at rankings because it gives me an idea of what we've got brewing. So there you have the aforementioned Yordenis Ugas from Cuba. Egidius Kavaliuskas, who beat up the Armenian guy whose name I can't pronounce, Aveniasian, I think. Tough guy. And Kavaliuskas murked. What's the expression? Murked? You got Matisse, who's going to be taking on Pacquiao, number 8 and 6 in the rankings. Jesse Vargas, number 7. Jeff Horn, about to take on the unranked Terence Crawford, but still pound for pound Terence Crawford. Danny Garcia, who might be taking on Sean Porter. There you see Sean Porter going all Hulkamania on us. Errol Spence Jr. and Keith Thurman. And by the way, guys, here's my question to you. If it's coming out now that Thurman might not be fighting for a long time, WBC just stripped him of the title. Does that mean that Spence should be moved over to the number 1 position in the rankings? Let us know in the chat room, please. By the way, I see Stu's backstory there.
Stu's drunk.
I think if he's drunk, then you're gonna be there too, right? Because you say you're barbecuing right now.
I'm already there, man.
You were there 6 hours ago, right?
Exactly.
All right, but yeah, you let me know in the comments. Like Mr. Cox, he's replying. He says, "Why is Thurman?" By the way, why did you write him Thurman? Sounds a little too close, like Hyman. But anyway, why is Thurman on the number 1 spot? Asked Mr. Coxey. Well, if you ask me, the line of thinking is he beat Sean Porter, he beat Danny Garcia, 2 quality names, even though Garcia wasn't really ranked in the welterweights that high, if I remember correctly. He also beat up, starting from 2013, Diego Chavez, who's very tough. Who else did he beat? Luis Colasso, another tough guy. Robert Guerrero, who still had something left back then. So I think that's why that resume is pretty solid. But now he hasn't fought in over a year. Meanwhile, Spence took on Brook, who was a highly rated welterweight himself. He brutalized Lamont Peterson. Again, I know, Lamont Peterson, not a welterweight, but it's slim picking. I mean, we got quality in this division. But if you don't want to say that it's not Thurman number 1, and if you want to say that it's neither Spence should be in the number 1 position, then you tell me who should be number 1. Sean Porter, who lost to Keith Thurman? Should it be Manny Pacquiao, who lost to Jeff Horn? And please don't come in here and tell me he should have won that fight. I agree, he should have won it, but he didn't win it. You can't... we have to abide by official decisions here. Otherwise, it's all chaos, it's anarchy. And before you know it, people are in their underpants hitting you in the face in the streets. Alright? So please, you're not going to tell me it's Danny Garcia who's the number 1 guy. You're not going to tell me it's Jeff Horn, Jesse Vargas. You get my point? It's between Thurman and Spence. And Thurman ain't going to be fighting anytime soon. So, sorry guys. I know some of you might disagree that Spence might not be number 1, but right now, that's what we've got. He's number 1. Greg says, Spence went into the Brooks' backyard and took home his property. He deserves number 1. I agree. Sherpet of Son says, best resume, undefeated. I don't know if it's the best resume, but it's what we've got, in other words. Yes, it is the best resume. You're right. I take that back. Boxing Style says, he got his ass kicked by Porter. I think he's talking about Thurman, which I disagree. I don't see... I mean, I saw Thurman staggering Porter a bunch of times. Boxing Style says, robbery Porter. Oh, come on. Nicola Ferrez is Porter beat Thurman in my opinion. Okay, but how? Let's say you guys are right. By how much did he beat him? Was it a robbery? Because if it wasn't, and it's one of those fights where you can say, you know, I see why Thurman got the decision, then you can't really criticize Thurman for getting that decision. Does Errol Spence, ask Pavel, derive his athletic abilities from his tits? Now wait a minute, hold on a second here. What's going on? What's with the comments? But it's true. What's his? Spence does have like, I mean, they're not sagging bodybuilder estrogen tits, but they're bizarre. They're unusual looking. By the way, what's that background noise? Who's in the hangout right now? Anybody there? Or are you playing with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Stu's back. Stu, thank you for being on. How are you, man?
I'm alright, thanks. Yeah, I was just went to watch the show. I'm a bit behind on the shows because you've been doing quite a lot. So I went to listen to the show the other day and it's gone. It's disappeared. I mean, another video flagged.
Nah, it has nothing to do with being flagged. First of all, you can't just remove a video if a couple of people flag, and if it is flagged, they tell you that it's flagged, or they tell you a reason why.
Stu has some theories as to who flagged the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
all right.
Why would I just take it down then? Do you reckon it's the intro music? Do you reckon it's your intro and outro music?
That music is BDA made. It's an original track, so no, they can't take it down because it's copyright.
Decent tracks they are, man. I quite like them.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you. Tunes.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. But yeah, again, if it gets flagged, the video, they tell. Here's what's going on. Here's why I don't think there's any foul play involved, because the two videos that got taken down, the one at Second Renaissance and last Sunday's show, it never fully processed, and then it got taken down. So I think it's something's going on with the codec. I think the codec or the settings are corrupted, and that's why it got taken down. But I don't. Yeah, I don't smell any foul play until I see more evidence.
Never mind.
I'm gonna. Yeah, but you never know, right? I mean, there's some crazy people out there, man. Unhinged, scary people. Let's just put it that way. But Stu, first of all, I don't know if you saw the news, because Stevenson versus Jack is being moved to Toronto, and in Toronto, there was just a terrorist attack. Somebody drove a truck into a crowd of people. My question to you is, this is starting to become the new trend. Should trucks be banned from society?
I mean, of course not. Of course not. This is the problem. We're in a crazy world now where lunatics are free to do as they please and, you know, roam the streets when they clearly should be in a mental fucking institution. And unfortunately, we're going to get this more and more. I think vehicles seem to be the safest way. You know, you don't have to go and buy chemicals online. You don't have to look up certain things online that could get you caught. You can just go and buy a van from the fucking local garage and just drive it into a crowd. And I think that's why they're doing it, because it's hard. MI6 and the CIA and whoever it is, FBI, they can't predict someone getting in a van and driving it through a crowd. So I'm afraid it's part of things to come. As Sadiq Khan said, the mayor of London, it's part and parcel of living in a big city. I mean, these fucking politicians.
Yeah, it's normal to have fucking people just drive fucking a car through people. I mean, it's fucking insane. It's gonna happen where I live now, man. I'm pretty sure.
That's a good thing about in the countryside, that no one's going to plan a terrorist attack at my place, because you're going to kill me.
So you're gonna get somebody driving a tractor through people.
Yeah. The only thing you'll kill round here is cornfields. So yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame, but this is the world we're in.
But yeah, that fight, Stevenson versus Jack, just got changed locations. Stu, when's the last time you saw a fight's location getting changed 3 weeks prior to the fight, and no press conference either, by the way?
I don't think I have seen it. changing them. I mean, when you book a venue, especially a big venue, you've got to book it months in advance. That's why Hearn books his venue 6 months in advance and hopes to get. He'll book the venue and then hope to put on a big fight. He'll do it like that instead of putting on a fight and then booking the venue, because the venues are usually booked up, especially in the UK. I mean, that's why he does it at Millennium Stadium, because the Wembley Stadium is quite hard to get. You have to book that months and months in advance, and a lot of these big arenas the same. So it's very strange that that they've changed it 3 weeks before. I mean, it's obviously struggling to sell. I mean, where was the original fight going to be?
Montreal, by the way, and they're doing it in Toronto. I mean, I'm sorry, these are English liberal cocks. They don't know anything about boxing. It's not even Montreal, man. You know, the boxing, you know, this BDA, boxing only happens in Quebec, okay? Why are they doing it in fucking Ontario? They don't care about boxing. Where have you seen a boxing event in fucking Ontario, the rest of Canada? They don't give a shit about boxing. Stevenson can't even sell in his home fucking town of Montreal, man.
Yeah,
it's so pathetic. Nobody likes him. Nobody fucking likes him.
That's how it seems to me. That's how it seems to me, Butcher. It seems like they just can't sell tickets. So they've obviously moved it to... Well, I don't think Toronto's going to be much better, to be honest with you, is it?
But see...
not, man.
But I don't
know, you know, Stu, but Stu, in Canada, outside of Quebec, there's no fucking boxing at all. There isn't.
No.
To go to fucking Ontario, it's just pathetic, man. Especially when a guy's from Montreal. Stevenson is from Montreal. He has to go to Toronto. Nobody's gonna go watch that fucking shit fight in Toronto. Give me a break, man.
They won't. They should have just fought in Las Vegas or something. You know.
Oh, that guy can't leave the country. That's the problem.
Oh, can't he? I didn't know that.
He has a criminal record, apparently, so good luck with that.
But hold on a second here. I don't think they changed the venue because it's not selling well, because it's not going to sell any better in Toronto 3 weeks before the fight.
They can do it in Laval. Lemieux fought in Laval.
Okay, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Like, they have a new arena there.
All right, but Butcher, you get what I'm saying, right? Like, it makes no sense to... Like, if it wasn't selling well, why would they change venues if it's not going to sell any better in Toronto, of all places? So I think something else happened. I think it's just disorganization. Yeah. They're not organized. I think that's what happened there.
Maybe the Bell Center is booked. I don't know.
Yeah, because that's the thing. They still haven't even held a press conference. No, they haven't even held a press conference.
Maybe the arena. It took that long to get the fight signed. Maybe the arena wasn't even. Obviously, there could have been a problem with the arena. They've had to switch it to Toronto. I agree with you. It wouldn't make sense to move it to Toronto. Even if he can't sell in his hometown, he's going to still sell more than he is in Toronto. But I'm trying to think why they would change it 3 weeks before the fight starts. It's just unheard of.
By the way, before we continue this conversation, we got Recognize and Cameron on the line.
Don't get fooled when they tell you that the crime rate is down in New York. Every time I watch the local news, they're always talking about, well, there was a stabbing here, there was a stabbing there, there was a shooting there, but the crime is down.
Fuck, mate, it's life, man. You only live once. Make the most of life. Enjoy it. Because everybody's got their weird fetishes, man. And mine just happens to be eating fucking ass.
That's right. Gentlemen, thank you for being on. Always appreciate your contribution and your input. We're talking about Stevenson versus Badu Jack. Low Place is telling me that in the chat room that the press conference was held today. So finally, 3 weeks before they actually step into the ring, everything seems ironed out. But is it me, or would you guys be surprised if something else comes up at the last minute?
Just want to say, Low Place, nice one making a video about me, bro. Next time invite me on, you fucking bitch.
Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here?
I want to tell Low Place I thought he handled X well in his last video. I just want to tell him that.
Whoa, are you kidding, or what happened?
Oh, they went at it, man. I heard the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, that is. You know what? I don't know. X, I don't know what to think of X. The guy says he likes me and he likes the show. So anybody who likes BDA is A-okay in my book. But, I mean, I don't know. I recognize, I keep telling you, the guy scares me, man.
Oh, yeah. He's reckless. He was starting trouble on Low Places channel. He was threatening to slap people. And,
Oh,
I don't know. He was
But what-
acting. He was acting out of line.
wanna know-
in my
hey,
opinion.
I want to know. I want to know what's Cameron. What's he said about Cameron, man?
Oh, he's going at Cameron too. Like he was like, I want to fight Cameron. You know, I want to go to the UK and fight Cameron. I want to debate him. But then Cameron invites him on the show. He doesn't go on.
I think right.
I don't know.
I'm
X
about-
is a little. X is to me. Is
I'm
a little
about
bit of a punk.
I'm on about
Oh,
low play about Cameron because he don't seem very happy.
Listen, man.
with it.
Since I've been on this YouTube thing, man, I've started getting beef with everybody, man. People doing fucking videos about me and everything.
You know what I think it is? I
Yeah,
think
man,
it's when
saying I'm a racist and all this shit, man.
Well, look, listen. The fact that you're getting criticized means you're starting to make it big. You're on the radar now, Cameron. You should be proud of that.
Yeah, well, listen, mate. I mean, it's all right, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like I said, man, I was in a bit of a debate yesterday, and someone sent me a link to fucking Low Places channel because he was doing a live show about me, saying I'm an Adonis Stevenson hater. Then I was, apparently I was hating because I'm multicolored and things like that. It was fucking nuts, man. Low Place, you don't know shit about boxing, man. Everybody knows it. Take your fucking shitty ass channel with your 50 viewers and stick up your ass.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's Cameron's riposte. And Stu, by the way, you were here before I think any of us. I'm assuming with your channel, you stirred the pot quite a bit, rattled a few cages, if I may say so. You know, when it comes to criticism, would it be fair to say that if you're not getting criticized, that means you're not doing something? You're doing something wrong. In other words.
You're gonna get criticism no matter what you say. You could be the biggest appeaser on the planet, where you just want to appease everybody and say things that everyone wants to hear, but you're gonna upset somebody no matter what. And this is just like I've said before. The boxing community there's a lot of degenerates in it, and there a lot of trolls as well. And we see that on a weekly basis. I mean, especially the podcast and the Broner podcast. I mean, the gates of the troll hell were open and they all piled into the BDA chat, didn't they?
Hey, a little apocalypse every now and then is good for business. Let's just put it that way.
So like I said, I give a bit back. I don't give everyone shit back. There's a certain people I do give a bit back to. We're human beings. We've all got weaknesses, and I get angry sometimes, so I give them a bit back. But there's a lot of stuff I just let go. But
well,
this whole Adonis Stevenson Badu Jack thing is strange, man. Like the fight getting moved from one place to another, going to Toronto, and I don't know Canada that well, but from what you guys, I was listening to what you guys were saying about, Toronto not really being, or basically most of Canada not being a boxing town. I just find that strange. I mean, what was they didn't do no promotion on the fight. I know that. I haven't seen anything. No one, nothing on Showtime. I guess that's where the fight's taking place. It's weird because it is at least for me, it's a big fight. That's a big fight. It should be doing well.
I mean, it's a bit like Kovalev Ward. There was nothing on the TV for weeks about that fight. It was only fight week, but we started seeing something. It was just under the radar. No one was talking about it really. No advertisement. No fucking press conferences. It was just poor promotion. Very poor promotion. And yet again, I think we've got a very poor promotion. It's like you said, it's a big fight. Two top fighters. This should be promoted as a big fight in Canada. But usually the Canadians will turn up for like certain fighters, like Pascal. They usually turn up for him and David Lemieux. But obviously, Butcher's right. Stevenson just leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. No one really wants to the guy, so that's probably why he's struggling to sell. But the promotion's been terrible.
I guess that's the situation going on because that's a. No, I was going to just. I'm sorry. I was going to say that it's a great fight. It's a great fight on paper.
Got mad on that. But no, man. Listen, in all seriousness, man. Who really cares about Adonis Stevenson, man? I'm only on here waiting for the bitches and hoes chat. Eating arse and that. Stevenson for me, man. He's been irrelevant for a long time. This fight's not been announced properly in terms of promotion. No press. I mean, there was press conference today. I didn't even know about that. For me, I just want to see Badu Jack end this reign once and for all. because Stevenson for me has just been so irrelevant, been holding his title hostage, the worst lineal champion in the sport's history, man. I'm all over the place tonight. I just can't wait for Badou Jack to go in there and on him up and end this shit, man. Because Badou Jack will actually fight legit opponents, and he won't just feather around fucking, Sulecki and all that. He'll actually fight legit guys. He'll fight Bivol. He'll fight Kovalev. So for me, I just can't wait for this fight. I can't wait for Jack to win. Do you know what, man? It'd be better for boxing if Stevenson gets beat. So that's what I'm hoping for.
So that's who you think? I was going to ask you, Cameron. Dude, is that who you think is going to win the fight? You think Badou's going to win?
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, in all seriousness, Stevenson's got his left hand. Stevenson can punch, man. Like he can knock anybody out in the division if he hits you. But yeah, I feel like Badou Jack's. Badou Jack's. He doesn't do anything. He's not spectacular at any sort of aspect of boxing. He's just overall he's a very good fighter. He just puts it all together really well. I feel like he's got more in his armour than Stevenson. I just feel like he'll have more in his armour.
No, I was just saying, I agree. Badou Jack is got a bit more about, is a bit more solid fundamentally, and I think what Jack's going to have to do is keep his hands up, tight guard like he always does, and try and take the steam out of Stevenson. Hang around for the early rounds, make it a boring fight. Try and take the steam out of Stevenson's punches. Stevenson's getting on. He's whatever he says on Wikipedia. I'm sure he's older than that. He's not active. So he's going to tire. He's going to tire late, and he has tired in his last. Well, I think from far he definitely tired. But and look how long ago that was. So this is going to be an old man in the ring. I've got a feeling that Jack's just going to take the sting off his punches, and in the later rounds pile on the pressure like he did against Groves and DeGale. Huh?
All right, I'm reading the comments, and it says, Pereira says, precise, Montero is looking for you. I hope that's not a joke, because I want to see the clash of the titans, Montero versus Precise, in a debate. I mean, I know it might be old news at this point, but look what I didn't get it. I hope Precise comes in this episode, because I want to talk about the ruling that just took place a couple of days ago between Povetkin and Wilder. And apparently it proves Povetkin's innocence. Can anybody fill me in on that whole thing?
Oh wait, what? Did some later news come in? Because I must have missed that. I know that he was awarded the.
All right, Cameron, you have any information on that?
Sorry, bro, I wasn't. I've got someone with me in my house. So what was that?
What's going on? What's the rundown between the Povetkin decision that was just ruled in a Manhattan court, saying that he got that he received money back?
You mean with Wilder, yeah?
Yeah.
I've not been paying much attention to that.
I know what you're talking about now. So basically, he was awarded.
Go on, then.
No, I was going to say that. Okay, so I know about that since it started. More or less, I know about the situation since it happened when the fight first got canceled. Mm-hmm. So basically, the Manhattan court ruled that because Wilder was suing for the money. Okay, this is the way I understand it. Wilder was suing for the money that was supposed to be given to him, and I think it was like $4.3 million. I think that's what it was, right? Or maybe they added something to that to make it 4.3. I'm not 100% sure, but what happened was that the Manhattan court judge must have looked at the evidence that was presented to him, and the way I looked at the evidence, and saw that Povetkin never failed in terms of protocol. Now, what the WBC decided to do, and I don't even think they said he necessarily failed. They just canceled the fight. Under WADA protocols, he never failed a test. Okay, so what does that mean? Because meldonium was it was banned in January of 2016. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was banned in January 2016, and the fight was supposed to take place in May of that year, right? What happened was he showed traces of meldonium. He showed traces that were 14 times below the threshold that water had set, because they admit themselves, by banning this drug, they didn't do no research on it, on whether or not it's a PED, or how long would it take to leave your system, right? How long would it take to leave a man's system, a man or a woman's system? So they set a threshold, and he tested positive for 14 times below that amount. And when they did, Wilder and his camp basically just canceled the fight. That's what they did.
Okay.
They kind of just didn't go, and they had to cancel the fight, and there was that whole drama. Then they started suing each other, and originally the jury found Povetkin guilty. Now this is just a jury, average people found him guilty. The evidence was very nothing. Basically, they just said this is what he failed for. They showed him the threshold, and for them, he was guilty. But when the judge looked at the whole thing, and this is the way I understand it, when the judge looked at the whole circumstances, the whole situation, he must have came to only one conclusion. There's no way that Povetkin and his manager and his promoter, Ryabinski, owed them that money, because they wanted the fight to go through. And actually, the fight could have happened. And this was even admitted by Deontay Wilder.
So so now here's my question.
Guys, BD, I just want to say, I'll just quick off topic. I've actually got, so obviously, that boxing is not a very big place where I am in England, but there's actually a couple of good youngsters coming through that are actually going into the ABAs and that over here. One guy I think you should keep an eye out for in the UK, who I think will be pro, is someone called James Budd. I think he'll be going pro. I think he's got the ability to do it, but he's come from my local area, and he's in my opinion, in terms of his achievements, he's the most recognised young boxer coming through from my area. So keep an eye on that name, James Budd, in the future. Believe that.
Oh wait, how do you spell that name?
James, as you know James, then Budd, B-E-double-D.
B, and then which letter? Oh, you know what? Forget it. Just write the name. Instant message me the name.
I'll send you a link to his amateur profile from the boxing website link in the Hangout.
Terrific. All right. So recognize you just broke down the situation for me. Well, speaking of breaking down the situation, we have
just an excuse to pull out the fight. Wilder shit his pants. Wilder shit his pants. Didn't fancy it in Russia. Needed the Mexican mafia to bail him out of the WBC, and they cocked up a plan, and this was the plan. I mean, disgraceful from Team Wilder, and it just doesn't surprise me. He didn't want to go to Russia from the start, and he's using this as an excuse. Well, I went to Russia, and the drugs, he failed a drug test, so that's why the fight never happened. That fight was never going to happen anyway. Said that from the start.
That might have been the issue. Yeah.
Right.
We got Precise in the house.
Depending upon how you interpret the data.
What's up with all the transvestites in Hollywood, though? Because if you're a postmodernist and you don't have any standards, you're always going to keep moving the goalpost, and you're never going to stick to your own standards because you don't have any standards.
That's right. There's only one Precise puncher. Precise, thank you for being on the show. I see you're getting into a bit of a... There's a conversation going on in the chat room about the validity or the quality of opponent that Vanis Martirosyan presents. Would you want to talk about that, or you want to talk about Wilder versus Povetkin?
All I'm going to say about that is, what's up with all the triggered soy boys, soon-to-be transvestites in the chat room? Moving on. Moving on. Yeah. Fuck them. I don't give a shit.
Ooh, that type
Little
of language.
12-year-olds acting like they got something to say. Make a channel, make some videos, then you could talk to me. Other than that, this channel has no content. Fuck off. What were you saying, BDA?
Yeah, that was my question. My question was whether you wanted to talk about that or whether you wanted to talk a little bit about Wilder Wilder and Povetkin. The saga continues. I mean, I know you and Bucho and everybody else talked about it last Friday's show, but
I talked about it a little bit and recognized did a pretty good job of explaining it. I want to clear up some confusion that I see in the chat room, namely Brandon White, I think it was, shout out to him, saying that the WBC canceled the fight. Now, I don't know how long some of these people have been watching boxing, but sanctioning bodies cannot cancel fights. What they can do is withdraw their sanctioning. Maybe that's what he meant. Now, Maxwell Bear, who goes by as the Russian Kaluta these days, sent me a document from the court case as pertaining to this latest ruling. So I read it, some of it anyway, and in there it says that Deontay Wilder was on WhatsApp messaging Suleiman, this is all court records, saying that you need to suspend Povetkin, there's no way in hell I'm fighting him, okay? So Deontay Wilder pulled his coward ass out of that fight, and the WBC, what were they going to do with their champion pulling out? They had no choice but to postpone the fight. They didn't cancel the fight, they postponed it.
Exactly.
Now, that's what happened. Deontay Wilder never stepped foot in Russia, never got on the plane to Russia. He had zero intentions of going to Russia. And if you're somewhat keen and intelligent, you'll understand that the only promoting that was going on for the fight was Deontay Wilder with his Rocky, 3 posters with Ivan Drago. Basically,
Rocky
him
4,
being
yeah.
Rocky. Yeah, Rocky 4, there you go. Basically, he built this whole thing up going into the fight, saying that Povetkin was Drago and that he was a juicer. He already accused him before anything ever happened. And then when the positive test for meldonium, for 70 nanograms, if I'm not mistaken, of meldonium, came to the forefront. First and foremost, Vada fucked up right then and there, and in my opinion, just my opinion, that's because Deontay Wilder pays them extra money to sanction anybody he's about to fight that he doesn't want to fight. They reported the 70 nanograms, even though the WADA regulations say that anything under 100 nanograms at that time was something that wasn't even supposed to be reported in the first place. So that's A. Secondly, the maximum allowable, as recognized, pointed out, limit of meldonium in your urine at the time was 1 microgram. Thus, Povetkin had 14 times less than that. So there was no need to cancel this fight. This test should have never even been reported in the first place, as it was 30 nanograms under the threshold, that reportable threshold. So it was such a minute, given this drug, because all drugs are different, such a minute amount that there was no need to even report it. Now, the reason why Wilder thought he had a case was because the drug testing lab in Southern California fucked up. We're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they fucked up and they didn't analyze Povetkin samples correctly. So what they reported was that Povetkin tested clean for a couple of tests, I believe. Then he tested dirty, and then he tested clean again, which gave credence to the theory of him using meldonium in fight cam and potentially microdosing, right? But then when Dr. Eichner, I believe it was, the same guy that just talked about Canelo's clenbuterol levels, when he, I'm sorry, it was another doctor from Switzerland. When he looked at the readouts of the actual tests, because the samples were mysteriously destroyed, when he looked at, this is all facts, by the way, you could go look this up. When they looked at the readouts of the actual test results, he said, what are you talking about? There's meldonium in all these tests. That's in his professional opinion, right? So that completely destroyed this whole theory of microdosing during fight camp, right? Which was the only straw that Deontay Wilder had to hold on to, because again, the levels weren't high enough to even be reported, let alone to sanction the guy for. So the WBC had no choice but to postpone the fight. Deontay Wilder hightailed it the fuck out of there because he never wanted to fight the man.
All right, so it's pretty clear. You established a timeline right there. You offered proof, and because whenever somebody tests positive for something, you got to keep an eye on it. Really make sure you know what we're talking about. When it comes to Povetkin, the whole thing was an issue of how much was in his system. And because that was going to be my question. My question was going to be, well, how do we know Wilder is really avoiding him? And it wasn't just an issue of Wilder's team and himself being ignorant about PEDs, and they just saw the PED positive test and they said, no, fuck, we're out here. But you're saying is they knew exactly what was going on and they still chose not to fight him.
Well, I mean, the information was out there. Povetkin
precisely, you cut off there.
Promote, and you know, and if you read the WADA protocol when it comes to meldonium, all Wilder needed to do was call WADA and ask them what this means, and they would have explained it to him right then and there. However, the simple fact that WADA reported this when, according to the WADA protocol, there was no need to even report it in the first place, that tells you everything you need to know. Deontay Wilder didn't want this fight, and the fact that all these other fighters that were perceived as dangerous, perhaps some of them anyway, were failing drug tests as well, but then, you know, they were getting cleared by independent agencies, and the whole thing with Ortiz being just a whole bunch of nothing. That tells you everything you need to know about Deontay Wilder, his relationship with the WBC and VADA, and the fact that, as Paulie Malignaggi pointed out in one of his videos, Deontay Wilder pays the WBC extra money to test his opponents very stringently. So that tells you everything you need to know. I think Nikolai, it was him who pointed it out in some video somewhere, Deontay Wilder drug ducts a lot of fights. That's what he does. He uses drug testing to duck fights.
Quite an interesting tactic.
I agree. I mean, let's be real. He hyped it up as Rocky 4. Povetkin was Drago, but Deontay Wilder didn't want to be Apollo Creed. That's the problem.
Yep.
I mean,
but
we can talk about drugs all you like. The fact is, that was just an excuse for him to duck out of that fight. He never wanted to take that fight. He probably would have took it if it was in the States, but as soon as that fucking purse bid was lost, he was thinking of a plan to get the fuck out of this fight. There's no way was he going to go to Russia. He doesn't even want to go to the UK, for fuck's sake. So you think he's going to go to Russia?
Exactly. And the last time he went to Russia, he got knocked the fuck out. So he has Russia problems, basically. And I got to go, basically. But if you want me to clarify anything else, BDA, I got kind of a busy day. Ask away. I have a few more minutes.
Well, when it comes to... this was a court hearing. So in order to get access to the documents of everything that transpired, do you have to pay a fee, or are they available online for free?
They're available on Scribd, I believe that's the website.
Yeah.
Maxwell Bear provides me with links. He has an account, and he sends me the documents. And I was actually thinking about making a video with the document in it, just to explain some of the things. And you know, just the simple fact that Deontay Wilder's on the phone with the WBC, and this is on record again, telling them to suspend Povetkin, like, come on, man, while he's paying them extra money to test his opponents very stringently. That tells you everything who runs things. So when it comes to that anyway, so it's all on Deontay and his team, period.
Well, look, I know it takes time to do a video, and especially one of those videos where you actually have to put things up on the screen, you know, providing the evidence, the paperwork and all that. But I mean, if you do have the time, that would be fantastic to clear everything up, because I don't know, I think my research skills need a little work, but I was looking for more information on that, and all I was getting was articles from boxing sites or from Reuters and New York Times. And
fake news, bro. You were getting a whole bunch of fake news, basically.
But that's what I'm saying.
And because of all that, Deontay Wilder is now on the hook for $34 million in this defamation suit. The same thing that Pacquiao did to Mayweather when Mayweather was accusing Pacquiao without any evidence. Povetkin and his team are going ahead with the countersuit after they won this one, and that's 34 mil, which probably won't be awarded to him, but it might be some kind of a victory anyway, because it's very difficult to prove money lost due to these defamation accusations, as Maxwell Bear tells me. You know, it's something that's very difficult to prove, basically, and how do you put a value on it? But maybe they can give Deontay Wilder a public spanking, perhaps tar and feather him in Times Square, you know, something along those lines. But he's on the the $34 million lawsuit, defamation lawsuit, is going ahead. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
And what a mess. What an absolute and total mess. And the money that they must be paying in lawyer fees, yeah, they probably got these guys on retainer or something. It's insanity.
Money they got.
Sorry, Pete. Is Povetkin suing Wilder then for damages?
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah, well, I don't blame him. I think that's a great move. Fighters have got to be punished for doing this, but otherwise we're just going to have this using an excuse to duck fights, and we're not going to get the best fights. I think it's putting out a stance on the topic, and I think it's a great move by Povetkin. At the end of the day, he lost money. He had he basically nearly finished a camp. The fight was nearly. Well, I think it was about a week or two before the fight started, wasn't it? They got cancelled.
3 or 4 days, yeah, 3 or 4 days. Actually.
Yeah, fucking out, exactly. So he basically done a whole camp, paid everyone off. He deserves his damages. Wilder did a pussy move, and he should pay for that pussy move.
Exactly. So, we'll see what happens there, but the whole thing's not over yet. It's complicated. It's probably going to go on for another couple of years. And we'll see what happens. And one other thing I wanted to notice, because people were flipping out how Povetkin is being sanctioned after failing a drug test, why he wasn't suspended. Well, this explains everything, right? The guy was innocent from the very beginning, and told you so.
Oh, well, there you go. Precise, rubbing salt on the wound. But hey, if you don't have your facts straight, maybe you shouldn't be accusing people of taking steroids or cheating and all that. So that's the way it goes with that. All right, so
but you guys have a fun show. I'm gonna be listening, but I got a jet.
All right, Precise. Thank you for showing up and clarifying that. I've been wanting to get that
easy, everybody.
Cleared up. All right, Precise. Thank you. That was Precise Puncher, who did his diligent research on this matter, educating people.
I did the same. Like with Precise, I followed like guys like Precise and Maxwell Bear, the guy that he mentioned earlier, who goes by a different name these days, Russian Kluder, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got the same information from those guys, and I was like, "Yeah, this guy's innocent, man. This is bullshit." I mean, when I first heard about it, like he said, I mean, not to go back to it, I remember Meldonium being on the ban list. I saw it on the news. It was going to get on the ban list somewhere in 2015,
mm-hmm.
and there were some people that were defending Meldonium. They're like, listen, this is not really a PD. This was in the summer of 2015. So when the whole thing happened, it started to all make sense what was going on. Banning the drug was much bigger than Povetkin. This all had to do with the Olympics and the 2016 Olympics and banning certain, Russian athletes from competing and all that stuff, So
mm-hmm.
maybe they just used that to get out of the Povetkin fight. Wilder, that is.
That's what it seems like, man. That's what it seems like. I mean, I'd love to hear some rebuttal from somebody else to see if they...
So they don't have one. They don't have one.
In the chat, we see some people... sorry, Stu, but in the chat we have... let's see. He's one of Stu's favorite fans. Brandon White says... Let's see. Hold on. Fuck, I missed the comment.
All right.
It says Povetkin failed for a second banned substance after the meldonium. So he says again, Povetkin failed for a second banned substance after the meldonium.
The Austrian thing, right?
He's laughing.
Okay. So I know about that. That's the whole Osterine
mm-hmm.
situation, right? So what happened with the Osterine situation? He tested positive for 1 picogram. That's the lowest amount you could ever test for. Okay, that's all it was. It was 1 picogram, and this is also Brandon White forgot to mention. Okay, what he's forgetting to mention was that same sample, because I guess Ryabinski, his promoter, started to notice that there was some fuckery going on, and said we're gonna have a backup test. They went to a WADA accredited lab, and I think Switzerland, and took that sample, and they showed up 0. Now, where did that sample of Osterine come up positive for that 1 picogram?
Mm-hmm.
That would be the UCLA lab in California that was suspended under some suspicious activity for like 3 months.
Back,
so come on. I mean, this is not. This is not trying to go down the rabbit hole, be this huge conspiracy theorist. If you just use your mind, you would know that there was some fuckery going on. They didn't want the fight to happen. They didn't want the fight to happen in Russia. I would have given Wilder a great shot of winning the fight. That's not what this is about. This is about they didn't want the fight to happen in Russia. They weren't confident of Deontay Wilder's chances in that situation.
Okay, so it was actually the UCA Labs fault. Like something happened there, is what you're saying.
I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Absolutely destroyed. And I think he said it better. My friend couldn't have said it better. Explained the situation nicely. If Brandon can't connect the dots, that's his fault. But I want to know if any of you guys, well, if you guys can tell me, when was the last time Deontay Wilder actually had a drug test? Because I'm not sure.
Rachel's new.
Yeah, I don't know. They say he got drug tested, but how do we know that?
I've heard there's actually fights come out that they were getting drug tested quite often, and when after the fight they found out that Deontay Wilder didn't even have a drug test during the camp.
Think about it like this, Stu. Just to answer your question, who is behind Floyd Mayweather? Who manages Floyd Mayweather? Who manages Floyd Mayweather? That would be Al Heyman, right?
Ellaby, isn't it?
Right. Well, Al Heyman is a part of his crew, right? I just want you to see a pattern. Yeah. How was he exposed in the whole Manny Pacquiao situation? Remember after the fight, he was taking a illegal method of an IV transfusion at his home, which he should have been suspended for, right? Because that happened under USADA, and USADA suspended a MMA fighter, BJ Penn, shortly after that for doing the same thing. And actually, he didn't even get caught, BJ Penn. BJ Penn admitted it, and that was enough to suspend him. Okay? He just admitted it during an interview with them. That he said, yeah, I took an IV transfusion in my home. They're like, well, under those rules, you're suspended.
Charles Hatley. I'm back for a second. Sorry. Charles Hatley did the same thing going into the Charlo fight, I believe it was, and they didn't do shit about it. And as far as the 1 picogram of Ostarine goes, didn't I just tell you guys that 3 positive tests for meldonium were reported as negative by the UCLA lab? Didn't I just tell you that, guys? So if they made a mistake, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the 3 positive tests for meldonium. Gee, you think they maybe made a mistake when it comes to 1 picogram of Ostarine, which is even hard to fathom how they have instrumentation that's sensitive enough to even be able to pick up 1 picogram. I urge anybody and encourage anybody to research any drug test in any sport, and you find me 1 picogram of anything, you're not going to be able to do it. It's bullshit.
It's bullshit what they did, exactly. And precise. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure about this, but I remember this, right? I think I read this the right way. Didn't Povetkin Ryabinsky, Povetkin have the same sample taken to another WADA accredited lab in Switzerland, I believe, and it showed up that he tested for nothing at all?
I don't know if it was the same sample. I don't know. But they did test them right after the positive test came up, and they found nothing. Now, again, when it came to, for example, meldonium, 100 nanograms wasn't even anything you should worry about, right? When you have 1 picogram, which is such minute amount, first of all, there's human error, okay? There's corruption, there's bullshit, and then there's such a thing as eating horse meat in Russia, which is a very popular thing, whether you like it or not, it has nothing to do with this, where horses are, it's a very well-known PED that's used in race horses. And when a racehorse breaks a leg or is too old or is no longer winning, straight to the slaughterhouse they go. So there's ostarine in the meat. That's another thing. But hey, 1 picogram, that means nothing. That's a fucking joke. It could be human error. Look at Canelo's
positive test for clenbuterol. What did they tell us? 60 to 80 picograms. Why didn't they tell us 66 picograms? Why didn't they tell us 77 picograms?
Well,
because
funny.
they can't tell you exactly what it is because they don't have the instruments to be able to find one fucking picogram of dog shit, okay? It's nonsense.
The people in the chat that detract. Oh, sorry. Fuck.
Yeah. So
Wait,
hold on. Yeah, I want to say something, Cameron. We keep hearing you. I mean, you got your mic muted now, but every once in a while you unmute it. I don't know if you're doing it accidentally or not, but we can hear you talking. I think you're having a conversation on the phone or something. We can hear it, so please keep
BDA,
that mic muted. Yes.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I'm following the chat and the detractors that keep saying that Povetkin tested positive. I think they seem to have run out of arguments because all they keep saying is Povetkin cheated, took meldonium and Osterine. Povetkin cheated, and they're not bringing any new arguments to the conversation here. It's all the same fucking bullshit. They're not.
Here's to those guys. I bet you. I know what kind of fans they are. Floyd Mayweather lost the gold medal. There was no robbery. He lost.
That's a good point there from Recognize. That's a good point. And the reason why
Roy Jones, there's nothing to see here. The Seoul Olympics, there was nothing to see here. Roy Jones lost. Okay,
you know what?
Stop crying. He lost.
Recognize.
Hey, and how many drugs did that guy take?
This Povetkin thing, man, for me, this Povetkin thing is so. I didn't mean to say Povetkin. Yeah, this Povetkin thing, man, it's getting so old now. Like the guy's free to fight, man. The whole thing's been resulted. The people are always going to say he's a cheater, man. A lot of people have their agendas and all that because of it. You know, nothing's really been proven that he's a cheat. I mean, everybody's dropped off. But yeah, what I was going to say was,
I'm still here, Cam.
Yeah, Povetkin. People need to stop this Povetkin thing, man. Like, there's worse. You know, there's been a lot worse. I mean, Luis Ortiz is worse than Alexander Povetkin. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of these people won't say that. You know, a lot of these people have agendas and things like that.
Let's be real.
But the Povetkin for me. Yeah, go on, bro.
Dillian White as well. Dillian White's no better. You know, Dillian White's worse than Povetkin.
What do you mean?
Well, he's failed a test. He failed a test.
Dillian White failed a drug test and got a 2-year ban.
Whoa. It's a big
See,
ban.
I didn't
right
even know. Honestly, I didn't even know Dillian White ever failed a test. You see how that is?
He got a 2-year ban.
No, he failed a test.
He got a 2-year ban, man. He got a 2-year ban.
Yeah, but it goes to show you, like, I had no idea that Dillian White. I follow boxing pretty well. I mean, maybe it's my fault. I don't know, but it wasn't really big news that he ever failed a test. You know, not to me. I never heard anything, but we definitely heard a lot about Povetkin, and you got to ask yourself, why was he, you know, why was he demonized the way he was? And again, I'm not a huge Povetkin fan. It has nothing to do with that. I'm not from Russia. I'm not from there. I've never been there. Okay, so this has nothing to do with that. Actually, going into that fight, I thought Wilder was going to beat him. You know, I thought Wilder would beat him, whether it was in Russia or not. But it doesn't change the fact that there was these people that just say Povetkin failed, and that they did their research. I'm talking about the uploaders that said they did their research. They're, excuse my language, they're fucking liars. They never did. I'm sorry about that, but they never did research. And if they did, it's two things. They ignored it, or they don't know how to comprehend what they're actually reading if they can actually read. Okay?
The thing is, sorry, Brian, I'll just say, three of us have just gave these guys information, proof. It's in the pudding that he didn't fail a drug test. We've just explained the whole situation, how Wilder ducked the fight, how he used the WBC to get out of it with this drug test. We explained the court case, and yet they still can't connect the dots. They're still repeating the same old shit, and it's just like you're losing half your IQ reading the comments. I mean, it's...
Well, not from everybody, just from 2 or 3 people that keep repeating the same thing.
Of course, it's not everybody. I'm talking about the guys that are saying Povetkin failed the drug test after we've just spent half an hour, you know, giving them information. That should change their mind about that. But
they say you believe the mainstream media.
Oh yeah, that's what we do here at BDA. Look at Stu, Precise, Recognize. Yeah, they all believe what the mainstream media tells them. They're
we're mainstream kind of guys.
Exactly, mainstream media type shills. That's what they are. you can tell they haven't been listening to the show, or they've been listening. But here's the thing: if anybody's really criticizing Povetkin for this and covering up for Wilder, it's because again, they're not fans of boxing; they are fans of one particular fighter. And now, why would you, as a grown man or woman, you never know, be so obsessed with a fighter? Well, that's because of fear. These people are afraid.
Your fear of capture and imprisonment is an implant from millions of years ago.
That's right. That's what I'm going to be teaching in my new seminar called Perspectives. And we're going to talk about that fear and how to overcome it. But anyway, look, listen. This whole PED issue was very interesting, recognized and precise. I'm glad you were here to clarify that issue. There is absolutely, without a doubt, something extremely fishy going on here. And like Precise said, let's keep an eye on it. Let's see what, because Wilder apparently can still, he and his legal team can still, appeal the decision. So we're gonna keep an eye on it, see what happens.
Yeah, they could appeal it. I don't think it's gonna do anything, but they could appeal it for sure.
Well, then let's keep an eye on it and see what happens. Now, if we can move on just a little bit into some actual boxing and not PED talk, because you know it can get a little exhausting after a while. I'm looking at this article from Boxing Scene. Eddie Hearn says he likes the Daniel Jacobs versus Jermell Charlo fight. Now, listen. I know we've talked about it before, but I'm actually quite obsessed with this Charlo move to 160 and Daniel Jacobs, who doesn't have an easy opponent this Saturday in Sulecki. But if all these people are talking about Charlo and Golovkin avoiding him, again, I know it's not from the most dedicated of boxing fans, but that's the impression they have. If Charlo has to get a shot at Triple G, first he has to beat the top middleweight. And I tell you something, guys, I don't know if he gets past Jacobs. I really don't see it.
That's a tough one, bro.
Well, recognize you were one of the people that said it on Saturday and Sunday. We were talking about, you know, sometimes one event can tell you a lot about a fighter's dynamic or a dynamic between two fighters. And we're talking about how when Charlo, you know, when he's going at Broner and Gervonta Davis, two smaller guys, he's going after them. He's screaming, he's got those shifty eyes and everything. But when Daniel Jacobs confronted him, you know, Jacobs was passing by him, and Charlo didn't say anything. It was Daniel Jacobs who noticed him, correct?
I think Charlo was surprised by Jacobs' man.
Well, hold on, Cameron, hold on.
Sorry, what you said? I didn't hear that.
Oh, sorry, man. I was just going to say, I think Charlo was surprised by the size of Jacobs, personally.
That could, you know something? I was going to say that too. Maybe there's a good chance that I don't know if that was the first time they've ever been around each other. I doubt it because, you know, remember they're like under the same management. I don't know if they've ever fought in the same card. I'm not sure, but they've been under the same management before. But what I would say is that doesn't necessarily mean he can't beat him in the ring. BDA. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the ring is totally different from outside. You know, maybe Danny Jacobs could kick his ass outside the ring. But inside the ring, you know, maybe there's certain things he can't deal with that Charlo can do, and I could see that. I could see certain things that I would give Charlo a chance against Danny Jacobs. But going back to your point, he does have a bully mentality, so it makes you wonder if he's ever in a tough fight with a guy who can punch, right? A guy who can punch him and is trying to knock him out too. You know, it's the difference of punching somebody away from you and punching to knock you out, to fuck you up. In other words, I'm here to fuck you up like you're here to fuck me up. You know, what happens when that starts to play in? You know, the ebb and flow of a fight. If Triple G starts landing combinations on him, what does he do? You know, I pay attention to stuff like that.
Me too.
And Danny Jacobs is more than capable. If the fight was to happen right now, right, I give Danny Jacobs the edge to beat him. I wouldn't say that Jamal has no shot. That's stupid of me to say that. The kid could punch. You know what I'm saying? He can punch. He does have fast hands. Whether they get there legally or right, you know, within the boxing rules, his hands get there fast, and they tend to have an effect on his opponents. Will it do it to Danny Jacobs? We'll just have to find out.
Very well said.
I mean, the bully boy stuff. I mean, Lucas Matisse, another one. You know, I'm not saying that his character's a bully, but in the ring he's a bully boy. Comes forward, throws his punches, beats people up. But whenever it was coming back at him, he folded, and he looked for a way out for me. And I've seen that with a lot of fighters they're all right when they're knocking people out, but as soon as the punches start coming back, that's when you see the true character of a fighter. And there's times when I've seen fighters fold under that sort of pressure, and then you see what they're really about. But while he's got no one that's throwing anything back, he's going to look destructive, isn't he? Let's be real.
Who do you think is going to win out of Robertson and Milkins?
Who and who?
Talking to me, Cameron.
Who did he ask? I didn't get the names. Robinson and yeah, I don't know.
Bro. No, sorry, bro. My thing's bad. I said, who do you think if that fight was made next? Who do you think would win out of Charlo and Jacobs?
Oh, Charlo and Jacobs. Well, who wants to go with that one? Who wants to answer that one?
I will go
Danny Jacobs.
Yeah, right now.
Danny Jacobs.
That's an interesting. I would pick Jacobs as well, but I mean, Charlo is still improving. All right, so but here's the question. You know, okay, Charlo knocked out Centeno. He did it earlier than Sulecki did, but Sulecki still KO'd him. So my question is, how big of a puncher is Charlo? How big of a puncher do you guys think he is between 1 and 10 in the power punching scale?
I'm gonna say 7.
7.
Yeah, me and you, we said it right. Yeah. 7.
Lucky number 7.
I think
that's good.
If you look at his KO, if you look at the KO ratio, I mean, it's decent. It's not like you know, like a Wilder KO ratio. It is decent power, but it's like anyone when you're fighting guys that are not very durable. And I mean, like I said, it didn't take much to win that fight on Saturday, did it? Let's be real. I mean, the guy was in the heap after a couple of shots. You know, so we can't really. You can only judge power when you fight the top guys, because the reason these guys are at the top is because a lot of them can hold a shot and a lot of them can avoid shots too. So
absolutely.
That's when we're going to know. I mean, like I said, I've seen fighters come through and destroy people in a couple of rounds. Look at Callum Smith. Where's his power gone? He's knocking everyone out, and as soon as he gets to the world level, these guys are hanging around. And
yeah,
you know,
I go to what my father used to talk when he used to teach me, when he used to train me how to fight. He was like, I used to ask him, "Do you think I got power? Do you think I got power?" He's like, "Well, let's see when you fight somebody that's trying to knock you out, and you can knock out that guy. That's where you know your power's good."
That's
that's when you know your power's good.
On the Jamal Charlo topic, I've seen a lot of videos and a lot of people on social media talking about how Charlo's this booty man at 160 when he's still not beat anybody at 160. You know, Centeno, yeah, you know, okay, he's a good opponent. But he beat Highland, who was, you know, he was injured, he was crippled in that fight. And all of a sudden they're talking like Golovkin won't fight Charlo, he's scared of Charlo. I've always rated Charlo. Yeah, I mean, I think Charlo's good. You know, I mean, I thought, you know, he would have beat everybody at 154. But, you know, he's not really done anything at 160 yet to warrant this tag of being, you know, best at middleweight like a lot of people have. I think there's quite a few fighters that would beat him. I think Saunders would beat him. I think Jacobs would beat him. So, you know, I think a lot of people are kind of building into this Charlo hype. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter, but...
Yeah, I think, like I said on the other show, I think David Lemieux, Charlo, would be a good test for Charlo to see where he is, see if he can hold a shot at middleweight, you know, see when someone's bringing it to him. I think that's a good fight for him.
Yeah, I agree with Stu. I think, and I agree with Cameron. I would take Billy Joe Saunders to beat him too. I think he'll give him. I think he'll outbox him. I think Billy Joe would outbox him.
Well, that's the thing about
Again,
Charlo.
he has a good shot to beat all those guys. Jamal, the big guy, the bigger twin. I think he has the ability of beating all those guys that we're picking against him. Billy Joe Saunders, for me, Triple G, and Danny Jacobs. I would take all those guys to beat him. But at the same time, I give him a puncher's chance, because he definitely has one. He definitely has a puncher's chance.
And that's the thing. He's still improving, I think. He's only 27. But then again, best opponents so far, Julian Williams and Austin Trout. We got to see him against a solid middleweight to see if his power, like you said, carries on over against tougher opposition.
Stewart said, why not put him in there with Lemieux?
And by the way, I think
make that fight.
I think he outboxes Lemieux. I tell you, I think he turns boxer in that fight. I don't think he stands toe-to-toe with...
I agree with you. I think he outboxes him and knocks him out.
Yeah, but like I said, one thing's for sure though, Lemieux's gonna be coming. He's gonna be throwing punches back at him. So that's what we need to. We've not really seen Charlo in a fight where he's getting hit back at the moment. Well, for a while anyway. So when it gets to the world level, I just want to see where he is. He looks the goods. Don't get me wrong, but I think Lemieux's like that gatekeeper, and passed him into the top boy bracket. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the best gatekeepers out there, because if you cannot box him, you're really at the top of the division. You are a good fighter. But you've seen how many guys, Rosado, Curtis Stevens, Hassan and Dam, they can't make it past the power. They keep getting dropped, and Lemieux is the most dangerous gatekeeper out there because of his punching power.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. With Charlo, I had to rewatch the Charlo Trout fight. I haven't watched it since it happened, but there were a lot of people that thought that Trout deserved the decision. I'm thinking, from what I remember, I saw Trout being a little bit ahead, one step ahead, especially in the early rounds. So how did you guys have the fight? Do you remember?
What fight is that?
The Charlo versus Trout.
Jamal?
Yeah, Jamal.
Jamal and who?
Austin Trout.
Didn't Trout fight the smaller child?
He's gonna fight him now, Stuart. Smaller child. Yeah, they're fighting in June or July, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a good fight, man. Like Trout.
I think. Sorry, Cameron. Go on, bro.
No, sorry, man. I was just going to say it's a good fight. I think Trout gives most people. In fact, he gives everybody 154 pounds trouble. He gave Hurd trouble. He gave Jamal Charlo trouble. I thought he was beating Hurd, to be honest with you.
Brandon White in the chat says Charlo knocks Saunders' heads off.
Well, I mean, you never know.
If he hits him, yeah. There's a good chance he'll take him out.
Did he say Saunders knocks Charlo's head off?
No, the opposite, I think.
If he gets him with a good shot,
I think Saunders has got a very good chin, man.
It's not just that. He's got to hit Saunders clean first.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. You got to hit him clean, because the one thing we've seen from Saunders, whether you like him or not, I don't like him particularly, but he's hard to hit two times, man. It's hard to hit that guy twice.
Yeah, we said that about Lemieux. If he hit Saunders, but he never hit him, right?
He never hit him. He never hit him twice. I never seen him hit him 2 good shots in a row. I think it's going to take more than one shot to knock out Billy Joe Saunders.
You know what?
I'm more than sure of it.
You know what? It's going to take body shots. Chris Eubank was hurting Saunders to the body. That's what it's going to take, man. Forget the head.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I remember that fight. I thought that in the second half of the fight, you could make a case for Eubanks winning the second half of the fight because of the body shots. The first half was obviously, Eubanks wasn't ready for that.
No,
he got outboxed.
And the other thing about Billy Joe Saunders is I understand now he's more conditioned. He's been working on his conditioning since that fight. But the thing about Billy Joe Saunders, and don't get it wrong, I was very impressed with the way he won all the rounds against Lemieux. But let's not forget, he didn't look all that hot against Monroe, and he looked even worse against, what's his name? Akavov, the Eastern European guy.
I think it was the training regime, bro. It's like any fighter. If you don't do the right things in training camp, no matter how good you are, you get found out. And this is what he was doing. He was overweight. He was blowing steam after 5 or 6 rounds. Look at the shape he was in against Lemieux. He's at the Ingle gym, which for me is the best gym in the UK. He's got he's got good sparring. He's got a good team around him and a nutritionist now, and he just looks a lot better fighter. It's like anything, when you do things right, you improve, and that's down to that, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the train. You can see his body is more toned now than when he fought Chris Eubank. Famoli in the chat room said, "What was that?"
Sorry, BDA. Sorry, BDA. I was going to say about Saunders. Since Saunders has been with Ingle, his transformation, man, has been amazing. Really. I mean, you look at he fought he had Ben Davis in his fight. He was training Tyson Fury in his training for the Abakov fight, and he was horrendous, man. He was a shadow of himself. And you saw what happens when he fought Monroe after that, and it was a completely different fighter. I mean, I feel like the Ingles are kind of look at that Saunders has had. Go on, bro.
Yeah, just saying he's sparring Cal Brook as well. That's got to be good for him as well. Do you know what I mean? Top sparring.
I think
Yeah,
Saunders is
absolutely.
a problem for pretty much anybody at middleweight. I think Saunders is a problem for Golovkin, man.
Yeah,
That's good.
I think so too. I think at this point he's a problem, and he's gotten better. I mean, like you said, he's training with Ingle. Stewart thinks, and I'm not going to argue it because I'm not from there, so I'll take his word for it. He's a good boxing. He's a good boxing fan, an educated boxing fan. So if he's saying that Ingle, and it seems that way, has one of the best gyms, if not the best gyms, you can see at least in the last fight with Lemieux, and maybe it had something to do with styles and the way Lemieux fought. He fought stupid, but again, I've never really seen this guy Billy Joe Saunders at his best, when he's at his best, get hit flush with 2 shots in a row, let alone 1. So he's going to be hard to knock out. And if you can't knock him out, there's a good chance he's going to win on points. And he does have some. He does have some power. He showed that in the Lemieux fight. I thought there was at times where if he would have stood his ground a little bit more and put more into those shots, maybe he could have at least dropped Lemieux.
Yeah, he did. You could tell there was a point even in the first round where he hit. No, actually, I think it was the second one. He drove Lemieux into the ropes. I think he spun him, and then he started going up at Lemieux. And Lemieux he seemed not stunned, but he seemed a little on the defensive. And I think he realized that the shots were hurting more than he had anticipated initially.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely hurting him. I think the problem is when you've got David Lemieux in there, this guy carries power for 12 rounds. One mistake against this guy and it's over. So I think he did the right thing. I think if there's a guy in there that wasn't a bigger puncher as Lemieux, I think he probably would have got the stoppage.
Probably. Then again, like you said, he had to be on his toes against Lemieux because you stand there 1 second too late or too much, and he'll catch you with that left foot. He had to be on the move. But that's the interesting thing about Billy Joe Saunders is, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not all that interested seeing him fighting guys that I know have no shot of outboxing him. When it comes to a boxer like Billy Joe Saunders, it either has to be against somebody who has as good boxing skills as he does or superior, or against somebody that is dangerous because he's a puncher, because otherwise it's just him boxing for 12 rounds and it's not that terribly compelling. You know what I mean? He has to fight somebody that's dangerous for it to be compelling.
Most people in the chat are saying that Saunders, I mean, if you want to beat Saunders, you got to really put a lot of pressure on the guy. But I would say that, I mean, Lemieux did put some pressure on, but that guy can cut the ring for shit, so...
The promise with Lemieux, he can apply pressure, but he's so one-dimensional, man. He's got no footwork. He doesn't create openings. He doesn't feint or anything like that. He's so flat-footed. He just throws. You saw what happened, man. He threw that hook, and he missed by about half the ring, man. Lemieux doesn't set traps. Lemieux's so one-dimensional. You need someone like, Golovkin. He's a pressure fighter, but he sets traps. He hunts you down. I think, that's why it's such a good fight, because I feel like Golovkin's got the style to beat Saunders, but I feel like Saunders has got the style to beat Golovkin. That's just my own opinion.
Yeah, if Golovkin doesn't wear him out, doesn't go to the body, he's able to take, which would be good luck on that one. If he's able to take Golovkin's jab away, which is fucking hard to do, but if he's able to do those things, I could see him winning. Yeah, he could win on points. I could see him winning on points.
Yeah.
I still would favor Golovkin, but I understand what Cameron is saying. Definitely, if there is a guy that has a good shot to winning on points against Golovkin, would be Billy Joe Saunders.
I'll say another thing on that. Just one last thing for me on that. If you look at the kind of stage of the career they're at, Golovkin's clearly slowing down. It doesn't matter, whether it's slowly or you think it's dramatic. He's slowing down. We've seen it in the last few fights. Since the Brook fight, really. Since Jacobs and Canelo. I mean, fair enough, he was fighting, with the top middleweights, but you saw in his on the eye test, you saw he was slowing down. So for me, look at Saunders. He's kind of peaking now. So they're kind of while Saunders is getting better, Golovkin's sliding. But realistically, that fight, if it gets made, it's going to benefit Saunders.
That's a very good point. Billy Joe Saunders, I think he's 27 or 28, which means he's, like you said, either peaking or at his peak while Golovkin is sliding down. Billy Joe Saunders stands a good chance of taking over the division, but like I said, if he faces a guy, like when he fought Monroe Jr., it became a fencing match, and I don't think Billy Joe Saunders looked terrific in that one. So if he takes on somebody like Daniel Jacobs, who can box and who has power, or somebody like Canelo, but then again, Canelo, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not all that interested in seeing him fight anymore unless he enrolls in better testing and really proves to us that he's clean, which might never really be possible if you think about it. How can he?
I mean, I feel like Saunders was never going to look good against Monroe because I feel like his styles just weren't going to gel. I said that before the fight. I just feel like Saunders was going to look good against Monroe. You know, he was going to win the fight, but you know, you saw what Golovkin. I mean, Golovkin has walked through Monroe. Saunders, you know, he's not the same sort of a fighter as Golovkin, nowhere near it. So that fight was their styles were never going to clash and gel for a good fight. For me, you know, and it was the opposite with Lemieux. You know, Saunders was he just toyed with Lemieux. You know, he was picking them off. It looked like an easy fight, and it was an easy fight for him. But I feel like with Saunders, I think the toughest fight at middleweight for him, if you can make it now, no, it's probably Jacobs. I'd say. I feel like Jacobs is probably the toughest fight for him out there. That's the fight I want to see.
You know, the thing about Billy Joe Saunders, besides his overall boxing skills, he brings the attitude for, like, this is a guy that believes he can beat. I truly believe him. Once he steps in that ring, he feels he's the better fighter. You know, those always make for interesting fights. And like you guys said, he's 28 years old. You know, that's when a man starts. I say from 28 to 33 or 34 is where a man is like at his best, especially in boxing. It's when the mind meets the physical ability. You got the experience, and it could, I can see. I would still favor, as of right now, if they were fighting their next fight right now against each other, I would still favor Golovkin over Billy Joe Saunders. His chances of winning is getting better. His chances of winning is getting better because he's at that right age. He's got the experience. And not only that, he's got the mindset. He really believes he could beat these guys once he steps in the ring.
Well, I'll agree with everything you said, to be honest, man.
Yeah, I agree as well. And speaking on that point, or continuing on that point, I think it was one of the Charlos, I think it was Jermall, the 160-pound version. He said recently that he thinks Golovkin is a good fight for him, especially now that Golovkin is slowing down. So all this, it's like in the jungle, it's like the savannah. All these young lions are seeing the old lion slowing down, and their mouths are watering at a chance to take over the pack. But let me tell you something, the old lion can still pack a bite. Golovkin still packs a punch.
Makes me laugh, man.
What's that?
What is Jamal Charlie admitting? What is he admitting?
Exactly. That means if he was a younger Golovkin, he wouldn't be able to beat him.
He would. That's the reason why he stayed at 154 so long.
It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh, man. When Golovkin was, around the time that Golovkin was fighting Murray, and he fought Lemieux, nobody wanted to fight Golovkin. Nobody mentioned his name, and all of a sudden now he's slowed down a bit. Got fucking Andrade, Charlo, all these guys come out saying want to fight Golovkin, man. None of these guys believe that they could beat Golovkin in his prime, and that's just a fact.
Well, you bring up a good point about these guys, and you mentioned Andrade. He hasn't fought in a while. From what I understand, he still hasn't got a fight lined up, even though now he's with HBO. He didn't look all that great against Kolke. I think, what's his name, Sulecki, who will be taking on Jacobs this Saturday, looked a lot better against Kolke. But there's the thing about Demetrius Andrade, and actually that wasn't Andrade's last fight. It was against the tall guy there. But
that was the first fight at 160.
Right. So that's my question. Where we're talking about Saunders, Jacobs, Charlo, Golovkin, Canelo. Where does Andrade fit in that hierarchy? Does he belong at that level, or do you still want?
He's not in the top 10 for me. Man. He's not beating anybody.
Nowhere. He don't belong nowhere. That's where he belongs. The guy's done nothing.
Agreed.
Even at 154, man. Even at 154, his best win. I mean, he beat Mark Erosion. He beat Woody Nelson. I mean, the guy's not got anything that really stands out on his resume. I mean, and people talk about this guy like he's some boogeyman, like, Boo Boo Andrade, he's an elite boxer and all that. He's not. I mean, there's so many flaws in Andrade, man. Personally, I see anyway. I don't see him as an amazing boxer. Good standard boxer.
The second he fights anyone with a decent punch, he's getting knocked out clean.
Yeah. You know something, Stuart?
He's fought nobody that can punch, man. Sorry, Recognize.
Sorry again, Rec.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say, for all this talk, I've heard people say, I've heard people that follow boxing, they're like, I think the Charlos are ducking Andrade, and I don't really know what's going on there. Maybe there is. I see the Charlos, especially the bigger brother. He could fight either guy. He's just as big as them. He's just as big as the big brother. Jamal Charlo will put. I think he'll knock him out. I think he'll knock him out.
Yeah, 100%, man. I was just about to say that myself, man.
Andrade the fuck out. Yeah.
I was about to say that I'm pretty confident that they thought Jamal would stop Andrade.
It's interesting. It's interesting that Recognize brings that point up because fans of the Charles say that Golovkin is ducking him. Andrade fans say, some people want to be unique and they say, hey, Andrade is being ducked by the Charlos. And who's next? Billy Joe Saunders fans are going to start saying that everybody's ducking him. It seems everybody's.
It's a circle.
It's a circle jerk.
Yeah, it's a jungle.
You got to say something, right? I want to say something on this Golovkin thing about people saying Golovkin fighting Charlo. Where are the facts that backs this up? What are they backing this up with, right? When Charlo moved up to 160, Golovkin was in, negotiating the Canelo fight.
Mm-hmm.
And, Charlo's just coming off a win now. Canelo was supposed to fight Golovkin for a second time. Obviously now Golovkin's fighting Martin Rosian. The whole time that Charlo's been at 160, Golovkin's been, dealing with Canelo. And Charlo's only just become mandatory for Golovkin. How can you claim he's ducking Golovkin's ducking Charlo? Where is that, man? Where is the evidence that points that?
There is no evidence. There is none.
Exactly. So all these people talking shit about, Golovkin, all these people, man, in my opinion, it's just all down to, who you prefer and all that. But Golovkin's not ducking anyone, man. I'm sorry. He's never ducked anyone.
Jamal basically admitted that because Golovkin is getting older, the fight's more intriguing now. To me, I like to read between the lines. I know what he's saying. Listen, I'm not dissing him for that. I don't. Maybe it's smart on his part. Okay, maybe it's a smart way to make some money. What he's saying is, when he was knocking out, like you brought up, Cameron, when he was knocking out guys like David Lemieux, Martin Murray, and other fighters beating Danny Jacobs, that what he was saying to you is, I stayed at 154, right? Don't look for him to outright say it. I stayed at 154 because I thought that this guy is not beatable at the moment. Basically, I don't think he's beatable right now. I don't think I could beat him.
I mean, Golovkin's last fight in his prime, in my opinion, was a dominant weight fight. I mean, that's where the last time I saw Golovkin at his extreme best. And none of these guys wanted to fight. I mean, Golovkin fought Lemieux and Murray in 2015. And nobody wanted to fight Golovkin at that point.
Because they saw how easy it was for him to knock out Dominic Wade. And these guys are familiar with Dominic Wade from the way I understand it. They know how he is, and they know that back then you can't say Jamal Charlo's going to knock out Dominic Wade in the same fashion. You can't say that. So when they saw that, because pretty much, I'm not saying that Dominic Wade is as good as Charlo, but pretty much they were at the same point of their career. You know what I'm saying? They were pretty much at the same point. They were prospects. Even if Dominic Wade was overhyped, I tend to believe that, right? But he was handled so easy. This was child's play. He didn't belong in the ring with him, and you cannot say Charlo would have done the same thing. Maybe now, I don't know what the fuck Dominic Wade is doing, but maybe now. But back then. But back then, you understand what I'm saying? Like back then, there's no way you could say, yeah, I think Charlo's going to knock him out in the same fashion that Golovkin did.
Yeah.
The thing is, man, one last thing for me, man, on that situation. Like I said, when Golovkin was destroying these guys with ease, the likes of Andrade and Charlo, it's ironic how as soon as Golovkin starts sliding, these 154-pounders start moving up to 160 and start calling him out. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say one more thing. That's boxing. That's boxing business 101. If you're an upcoming, prospect where there's a lot of potentials for you, you take out the old star. That's how boxing usually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have a problem with it. I just don't like, again, this is just going back and forth with fans that it's for fun. To me, I see it as fun. You know, that think that, yeah, he's ducking, you know, he's ducking Charlo. He's been ducking Charlo. And I'm like, well, whatever stopped Charlo from going up to 160? Both of them. They're both big men. These guys, they're taller. They got longer dimensions. They could put more weight on from the looks of it than a guy like Golovkin can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These are the same people that Golovkin was ducking Lara, though. So let's be honest. I mean, a lot of these guys speak shit. I mean, I think Charlo's, you know, he looks the good Charlo. Andrade, he hasn't proven anything at 160. If he goes out and beats somebody like a Danny Jacobs or even a David Lemille or something, then I'm like, okay, mixed man. But until Andrade, that's why I can't stand Andrade talking about how he wants to fight all these guys at 160 when he's only had one fight in a year. He's not beating anybody at note. Yeah, he may look good and all that, man. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter, I'm not. But until he beats somebody legit, man, we need to keep him out of conversation with Golovkin and Jacobs and all that.
That's right, guys.
And,
by the way,
when he fought Julian Williams, he was having some issues in that fight.
That's the way we preach.
That's right. You guys made very fucking good points, man. I don't understand. I mean, like Recognize said, at the end of the day, it's people that want to have fun. I don't even know if they're being serious or not. And if they are, it's probably because they don't know that much about boxing. But hey, it is what it is. We're running out of time.
Man. You got to teach him, man.
You gotta teach. Yeah, somebody's gotta teach him. I'm not gonna do it. Fuck, I got no time for that shit. We got Apology Man on the line. Apology, are you there?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Need to get him an intro.
Apology. Yeah. Do you want these hands? Do you want these hands?
Anytime, bro.
I was just about to say, we need to get Apology an intro, but all it would be is I've lost respect for all of you. You're disgusting. I mean, what the hell would you put in his intro, man?
That'll be a good one. Yeah, I'm just listening to what you guys are saying. It's all true. It's like I kind of feel sorry for GGG because when his career ended, he won't have the names to be up with the greats. We all know how great he is, but everyone ducked him, so he won't have any names. So what's his best win like? You?
Anybody want to touch that one?
Canelo. Can I get in on this before you guys start talking about butt munching again?
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear what you said.
No, yeah, you are. Anyway, all I wanted to say was like all this ducking talk. That's for people who, and I'm not saying you guys, but like all these accusations flying around. That's for people who just don't know boxing, so all they can talk about when it comes to boxing is this whole fucking ongoing soap opera. But you cannot say Triple G is ducking Charlo as long as he has that WBC strap around his waist. Okay, the second the WBC strip him because he refused to fight his mandatory, that's when you can say he ducked the man. For the time being, as long as he got that strap, he's not ducking the man. All right, all in due time.
There you go.
It's not when Canelo vacated the WBC title. He didn't want to negotiate with Golovkin.
That was a duck.
All
yeah,
right.
that's what I'm saying.
Hakuna Matata makes a good point. Says we should ban the word ducking.
Can I just say, Apology said something earlier on. I didn't hear what he said, man.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify that. Apology, you were cutting off, man. You wanna re-ask the question again, please? Apology.
That was a slick duck by Cameron a couple of minutes ago, by the way.
About the ass munching?
On what?
Not hearing what I had to say.
No,
very slick. A very slick duck, bro. Very slick duck.
Stop using the word slick, please.
Listen, man, look, those Arsenal days are over, man. Strictly boxing.
Yeah, that's what he says now. You put a piece of ass in front of him. Watch him go to town.
Man, I'll say one thing, man. I'm actually seeing a girl right now, man. And I swear to God, man, this ain't fucking usual girl, man. I'm fucking hooked.
Are you looking at yourself in the mirror?
Nah, man, I'm only interested in this one girl right now, man. I'll tell you what. Listen, man, if she says to me, "You never eat my ass," I'm like, listen, I don't give a fuck, man. I mean, this ain't a one-time thing for me, man. I'm fucking hooked on this one girl. So, yeah, man, it's just I need to be careful, man, just in case she's listening to this show.
Oh, the comments in the chat section already are starting. There's, you said you're looking at a special girl. Grievous says blow up doll.
Nah, man, listen, man. Come on the show, man. Let's talk about this. I want John Gonzalez on the show.
Do you really want John Gonzalez back on the show, man? With his story. I think he was kidding, by the way. I thought that was a very funny story about the girl taking liberties on his chest.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
we don't want Apology Man to drop off the show if you keep talking about this stuff.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
On the show, man. We start talking about artists, man.
Did people fall off? What happened there?
No, I'm just saying earlier about how I kind of feel sorry for GGG since he doesn't really have names because everyone ducked him, and because of that, his legacy is just TARDIS, and it's nothing to do with. It's not his fault.
Well, it's not 100% tarnished. He did beat up some top contenders. I mean, look at what he did to Matthew Macklin. Look what he did to Murray. Look at what he did to Curtis Stevens.
Those guys were good. And imagine if he had plus Felix Sturm plus Sergio Martinez as well. It will be like top 5 best middleweights ever.
That's a good point.
I was going to say, BDA, I was on the phone before I came on the show for the girl. And I actually told her, and she's actually listening to the show, man. So I actually have to be careful.
She's listening to the show. So can we
listening to the show, man. The girl I'm seeing in a minute, man. She's not listening to the show, man. So.
All right, girl who's listening to the show. This is what you can expect from Cameron if you see him tonight.
Great ass.
All right.
Oh my god.
Just want to say, man. Anything that's been said to me beforehand, I was not aware of it. So I'm kind of aware of what I'm saying now. Before I wasn't.
Would you stop it? Nobody cares if you eat ass, man. They're just breaking your balls.
Apology. I want apology. You know, I like apology. I want some respect from apology, so I'm going to stop doing it, man.
All right. Well, look, listen, guys. This was fun.
I'm a changed man.
I'm sure you are. Listen, we're going to have to cut this short today, but we're going to be coming back tomorrow. I have to go find more information about what we're going to talk about tomorrow because I don't want to waste the ammunition that we have about the Dogboe versus Magdaleno fight. There's also Sulecki versus Daniel Jacobs. What's his name? Baby Miller is going to be fighting as well.
Oh, is it Dogboe Magdalena this weekend, is it?
That's right.
Oh, it's a good fight, man. Very good fight.
I can't wait for it. Well, I can't wait for it, but I'm just saying I'm very excited to see it. And Brian Jennings is taking on, what's his name? I'm looking at it here. Joey Dawejko. He's a 5'10".
Brian Jennings, man. The top rank, I like what Top Rank are doing with Brian Jennings, man. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, but I like what Top Rank are doing. You know, obviously he got rushed in. They put him in with Klitschko, then they rushed him into Ortiz. Top Rank are building him up now. I like what they're doing.
All right. Well, I want to hear more about that tomorrow, man, because I don't know what you're alluding to, but if it's good and if it's good for boxers, I want to hear about it. First of all, I want to thank everybody that was in the Hangout. Recognize and Precise who broke things down for us in terms of the Povetkin versus Wilder situation and the PEDs, or lack of PEDs, I should say. I want to thank Cameron and Apology for joining us as well. Stu, can't forget Stu, always showing up and keeping it interesting. All you guys make this show fantastic, so I want to thank you. We're going to be back tomorrow, by the way, like I said. Don't want to...
man.
What's that?
Sorry, man, recognised. I didn't realise X has done another video today, man. I'm going to go listen to that right now.
That's right. Check out...
Oh, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Got to see that one.
That's right. Check out Recognize the Matrix channel. We're going to put the links in the description. Check out Precise Punch's channel. Check out Cameron Gillon's channel and his Twitter page. Apology Man also. Can't forget Apology Man for showing up. But we're gonna start...
Just want to say, forget Twitter, man. I'm not really on Twitter nowadays. Just follow my channel, man.
All right, so forget his Twitter page. And we're going to show up tomorrow, probably at the same time. If not, I'll do another event, and you guys can see ahead of time when the stream is going to take place. Hopefully, this one doesn't get taken down again for some strange, mysterious reason. And we didn't even talk about ghosts in the last podcast, and it still got taken down. So I
got something to talk about. Is there any of you watching the new Avengers movie that's coming out like Thursday? If not, if you are, we can talk about that.
You mean in Second Renaissance?
Or whatever channel you want to.
Anybody here
When's
watch?
the next Second Renaissance?
That's what I was
Did
going
you
to
guys
ask.
hear what I said?
Why is that?
I want to do a Second Renaissance.
Well, hold on. Apology Man wants to say something about the movie. Last thing, Apology, before we go.
No, do you hear what I said?
No, I didn't. You said something about the Avenger movie.
Yeah, do you want to speak about that? If you guys are going to watch it.
I don't think anybody here
Well,
watches.
You need a new connection, man, or a new mic. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Apology
I'll
Man.
message you, BDA. Don't worry about it.
All right. Apology. Message me about what you're talking about and why this movie is important, or why you think it's important, or what you are seeing that most of us aren't.
Really quickly before we drop off, I got some new headphones. How do I sound?
You sound better, man.
Yeah, you sound. Recognise. I might go live, man, just to talk some shit if you want to go live with me.
Talk some shit.
I'm actually gonna do something right now. I should be free within the next. I don't know what time it is over there where you at, but I should be free in the next hour and a half.
Yeah, fucking man, I'm up late, man. I don't sleep, man. But yeah, cheers, BDA, man.
All right, Cameron. Thank you again. Recognize.
Right,
watch your footsteps out there, man. Watch your footwork when you're in New York.
Yeah, I gotta improve my footwork game, man.
Yeah, don't fall into any ditches.
There's some things I want to get off my chest about general life, man. So I'm gonna set up a live stream and go ape shit, man.
Oh boy! All right, don't.
That'll be interesting.
Don't go all out, Cameron. You need to save your energy, especially if you're not sleeping. All right. Want to shout out to everybody in the chat room: Hakuna Matata, Amok PvP, Greg, Jaziel Zaragoza, Oasis One, Proletariat, Aaron Kuko, Nicola Ferrari, Luis Catorce, the Mr. Coxey, Boxing Kills TV, Brandon White. Who else we got here? Steven Skillrose, the Quags. I think Cachnello was in there as well. I think I can't see him here. Hakuna, Boxing Killers, Greg, Shepherd of Sons, the Fight Scout, Wheat Degree, Tertius Forever. Is that how you say your name? Tarisius Fever. Tarisius Fever. Pavel was in there. Michael Scott. Precise was in the chat room as well, tearing it up. Guys, you know who you are, man. You fucking make this show. I still contend you're the best chat room in the whole wide internet. And let me tell you something. I've been in some crazy chat rooms. Sexual chat rooms. And this one beats them all. Alright, guys. So I want to thank you again for being here. We will be back tomorrow talking about boxing, stirring the pot. Come on over. Call us sons of bitches. Call us racist. Tell us we're the best. Just as long as you show up. Let's party. And we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to BDA, our main channel, where we post all the film analysis and commentary videos. And we'll see you on the best one, folks. Take care on the next one. Bye.